and I'm not sure I want to talk about it, and I only have about 10 or 15 minutes, so I don't know if I should. But I have been asked multiple times since coming to Spain about this thing called edupunk. Do any of you care? I'm seeing a few nods. Okay, we'll do a volunteer voting thing. You don't have to put your hands up this time. We'll do what's called a group hum. You don't have to. You can look around like You don't even know. No one has to know you're interested. Do you want me to talk about edupunk? Okay, I guess I'll have to do it. I tried to get out of it. So what's the deal with edupunk? That's the question people. What is this thing? Why do we care about it? So I am not. I mean, Jim Groom's the guy who should be talking about this. Obviously, I can say what little credibility I have on this issue comes from the fact that I was there when the idea of edupunk was developed. And this is actually a photograph, as far as I know, the first time it's ever been shown publicly, of the moment we're in a bar outside a bar in Brooklyn. Jim's having a smoke. That's pretty common body language for him. And we were talking about this thing called edupunk. Now, what did we mean by that? It was the day that Blackboard, which again is the largest content management system, came out with this thing called Blackboard 2.0. They said, we got blogs now. And we got this, and we got this. And I said, okay, well, yeah, you got blogs. Great. Can I see them on the open web? No. Is there an RSS feed? No. But you got blogs. Okay. Can't find it, you can't syndicate it, but it's a blog. But they were getting all this good press about how they had adopted blogs. And it kind of made us feel like, okay, so people like us are working away, publishing blogs, doing interesting things, the students are enjoying it, and then a company comes along, just takes the terminology and commodifies it and then delivers it poorly. So, and of course it costs a lot of money. So we had the idea that we were inspired by this guy Hackety Hack, who is a Ruby programmer. Does anyone know why the Lucky Stiff, the Ruby programmer? He's developed these amazing online tutorials for kids to learn how to program in Ruby on Rails. Things like how to program your own blog platform in 6 lines, or how to create your own instant messenger client in 10 lines of code. And it's designed for any kid from 10 or up. And he goes around, it has great kind of comic book art. And according to his Wikipedia page, and you look at his photo, he might be the actor Jack Black. Have you seen that? I don't know. Let's see if it's the same picture. It almost made me wonder if somebody did it as a joke on Wikipedia. Let's see if it's still the same photo. It's been a while since I've looked at this. I don't know. Doesn't that look like Jack Black to you? Anyway, so this Ruby on Rails underground anarchist programmer teacher may or may not be one of our most popular comedians as well. Interestingly enough. So we had the idea we were going to create a punk style zine. You don't need Blackboard. How to run an ed tech department without spending money. And we thought, why the Lucky Stiff had the comic book theme, we'd use the DIY punk zine. And we'd maybe even print it on our Xerox copiers, just like this genre of zines from the 80s. But like Jim often does, he didn't wait until I went back home to Vancouver. When I got back home to Vancouver, he'd written 3 different blog posts. And so these were what were waiting for me. One is the post that people always cite in the Wikipedia article and everything, calling it the Glass Bees. Basically, his rant about Blackboard and the co-optation, what I was talking to you about. So he showed that. I actually don't know why I'm linking to it if I'm going to drop it. He also wrote this post called Permapunk. Is the concept of permaculture well known in Spain? Permacultura, with agriculture. It came from Australia originally. It's increasingly popular in North America. It's the idea of growing food on any piece of land you can find with minimal amounts of water, minimal amounts of fertilizer, and using reusable systems. So things like capturing the rainwater off the roof of your house and using that to water your vegetables instead of using water from the tap. So one of the posts he wrote was this thing, permapunk. And part of the reason I'm showing you this image is that's a screenshot of the Vancouver Sun, and that's my house. And that's my woman friend who I live with and who had my child. And she was on the cover of the Vancouver Sun because what she's done is she used to be an educator at UBC too. She quit her job because she felt like what she was involved with, the education she was involved with at UBC, was pointless and just perpetuating institutional thinking. She thinks what's important is people need to be able to grow food where they are. We need to be able to live with less energy. We need to be able to become more self-sufficient. And we need to teach ourselves these skills as soon as we can. So she quit her job to kind of promote urban gardening. And the way they do it is this quite interesting community educational model called the Learning Party. So instead of going to a school to learn, a group of people use the internet to define a problem they're all interested in learning. Like, I want to learn how to turn my front lawn into a garden bed. Or I want to learn how to build a rain barrel that'll catch water off my roof and be able to reuse it. And you get the group of people together, they pool a little bit of money maybe and get an external expert to come in and help them. They do the hands-on work in a yard, and then at the end of the day, there's actual work that's been done. And everyone has learned the skills hands-on, and payment is absolutely optional. She's never once not had a learning party fill. These things are wildly popular, and people are doing them on their own now. So anyway, Jim thought, and then the other example he gave was the Murder, Madness, and Mayhem Wikipedia project that I started talking about today. So why edupunk? Well, the ideas of punk that he thought were relevant were, first of all, kind of an anti-corporate bent, that the corporations are screwing us. The second one was this idea of DIY, do it yourself, which kind of the punk ethos had. And then thirdly, that idea that it can be a bit rough, that you can learn your 3 chords and get up with your friends and make some noise and have fun, and you don't worry about if it's perfect, and you don't worry about if you've been doing it for 10 years. So he thought that those were the ethics of punk that we needed to really learn about in our practice. So he writes these posts, and I think, okay, I guess this is Jim's way of saying we got to get to work on our zine. But all of a sudden, out in the community, let's see how many blog posts that Google has last indexed. Something like 9,533 posts on Google blog search have been indexed. Suddenly, people all around the world started writing things like, I hate punk music, but I think I'm an edupunk. And whatever you think of those posts, and then it became this really weird phenomenon too, where those of you who started taking Photoshop and doing weird things like I'll just do a search on edupunk, taking pictures of Jim Groom and mashing them up and doing strange things with them and having fun with it. It kind of became this thing where everybody started kind of doing their own little thing. I see one of them here is by Juan. Maybe let's see what that one looks like. My internet's slow. I should have had these preloaded, but as you can see, I generally bring up about 200 websites and I never know which one